I always knew I wanted to do hair. I always knew I wanted to do hair. I've been doing hair since I was 13 years old. I met Bo probably 18 years ago. Bo was always someone that I looked up to. He was very genuine, and he always, would say to me, Deanna, you're beautiful and you have so much going for you. And I always thought about that. I always wanted to do better when he came around. We were not trying to get pregnant, but we did. And I remember the doctor being like, yeah, so this is interesting, as she's reading the ultrasound, and I'm like, what's interesting? And she was like, yeah, so there's 2. And I was just like, oh, okay. Twins run in my family. So I called him and I was like, hey, listen, about this pregnancy. And he was like, you're not pregnant? And I was like, no, I'm pregnant. We're just having twins. I was 18. The pregnancy was horrible. I always felt like something was wrong. So December 3rd was the day that I lost both of them. By the time we got to the hospital, baby B was dead. And then baby A was born alive inside her sac. But when they broke the sac, her lungs were underdeveloped. There was no way that she could live at 25 weeks. I honestly just felt like the only way that I'm gonna be able to get over this is to get pregnant again. Like immediately, as soon as I possibly can. Like, that's it. And less than 3 months later, I was pregnant with Samaj. Samaj she was born on the 20th of November. I was due on the 25th of November.
Wow.
Yeah, perfect pregnancy. I gained 52 pounds, but perfect pregnancy. 3 years later, we conceived Santino. And I was feeling the same way that I felt with the twins, with him for that pregnancy. Santino came along February 25th, 2004, and he was also 7 pounds, 7 ounces, and 20 inches long. So he was fine. And that was pretty much it. That was our family for many years. Everything that you probably would go through in a relationship, with each individual relationship, I've been through with Bo. But I've always loved Bo, like more than I've ever loved anybody in my life. Let's move to Atlanta. Atlanta's up and coming. The weather's nice. Let's get out of New York. And we're gonna move down there with the intention of we're starting all over again. Together. We're going to be together, starting all over again. That's not what happened. So I'm living in Atlanta for 4 years now, and I basically am living a single lifestyle. Bo and I live together, but we're not together. And we just are kind of doing our own thing. He's over there doing his thing, I'm over here doing my thing. And at the end of the day, we come home to our house and our children. And in trying to find somebody to be with, I found someone to be with. And I got pregnant. He is no longer with us. Like, he's no longer here. He's no longer in the picture. Even if he was here, I don't think that I would have even had him as a father to our child, I said I'm gonna make an appointment to go to the clinic because I can't have another baby. I can't. There's 1, we can't afford it. 2, her father's no longer here. 3, how am I going to explain this to my other 2? 4, we have no family here. I have no help. I can't have another baby. How can I have another baby? That's Ridiculous. I'm 33 years old. I don't need to have another child. The night before, I prayed to God, please, 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 let me know that I'm making the right decision, because I feel so conflicted about it. I don't want to do this. I show up and there's a room full of about maybe 30 girls that are sitting there. So I go in the back when they call me, and they're getting ready to do my exam. And she's like, we have to do an ultrasound. So they do the ultrasound. And she said, do you want to see the ultrasound? I said, yeah, I do. I don't know why I said I wanted to see it, but I did. And she turns the screen and she said, is this your first ultrasound? I said, well, not ever, but for this pregnancy, yes. And there are two little sacs that you can visibly see. She said, you're pregnant with twins. I said, okay. I said, I have to go right now. As I'm getting dressed, I call my mother on the phone and I'm like, Mom, I'm pregnant with twins. She said, Deanna, leave. You asked God for your sign. He gave it to you. Go. I left. I decided to name them my mother's name, but I broke it up. Her name is Mariana. I named one Mari and her sister Anna. Around 25 and a half weeks, I had started having contractions. I didn't know I was having contractions. Wasn't aware. I spent a week in the hospital. Tuesday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in bed. And as I'm rolling over in bed, asleep, I say to myself, your water's about to break. And as I roll over, my water breaks. I'm like, this is too soon. This is not right. On October 8th, 6:06, Mari was born, and 6:13, Anna was born in the morning. Mari was 1 pound 13 ounces and 14 inches long, and Anna was 1 pound 16 ounces and 14 inches long. I wasn't expecting them to look as good as they did, but they looked great. They looked like just these little tiny babies. The twins prior, you could like see through their skin, and they just didn't look like they were ready. It wasn't until like a couple of days later that, you know, certain things started to happen that were normal for premature babies. Brain bleeds and issues with their lungs, and a disease called necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a bowel issue that the bowel kind of dies off and causes, like, you know, toxic to be released into their body. Vision problems, just from being on the oxygen for so long. So they were fighters, and Anna was a fighter up until the end. I'm asleep. It's about 2:30 in the morning. My phone rings, and it says the hospital. And I answer the phone, and they say to me, "We need you to come in." I said, "Is everything okay?" And they said, "Well, it's possible that, you know, your daughter has neck." When I walk into the NICU, every light is on. There's a crash cart right next to her isolette. There's 2 nurses on each side of her isolette. So there's 4 nurses with their hands in the incubator, doing things. Everybody else is just kind of scrambling around. And I immediately get on my phone and I text Bo and I say, I think you need to come to the hospital. He said, I'm already in the parking lot. And he walked in and he was just like, wow. And I'm sorry. And I finally got close enough to see her. And
Her heartbeat's dropping again.
she looked really bad. In the meantime that, you know, we're all trying to prepare for the fact that she's not gonna make it, Bo asked if we could have her baptized. And they had the chaplain come up and baptize her before she passed away.
Anna, child of Deanna and James, child of God. I baptize you now in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. May you know that they love you, their love, and their peace now and always.
She just looked really peaceful. They had like tried to work on her like 3 times. And she just never stopped fighting. Like her heart was constantly going. And that was it. 2 days later, Mari got the same thing that Anna got. She got neck 3 times. So they had treated it and she was doing okay, and then took a turn for the worse and got it again. Had several lung issues. She also ended up having heart surgery because she had a heart murmur that had closed up but then opened up again. So they had to go in and close it. She had a grade 1 brain bleed. She stayed intubated for almost 4 months. So for almost 4 months, I was not able to hear my baby cry. She was not able to eat. I went every single day, every night, to hold her and let her sleep on my chest and talk to her and pray. She is a fighter, big time. After Anna passed away, I could not understand why. I questioned why God would do this to me. Not once, but twice. I had a good friend explain to me that me seeing 2 babies on that ultrasound was God. Was God getting Mari here. He snapped his fingers right then and there to show me something that he knew was going to not make me go through with what I didn't want to do in the first place, which was have an abortion. Anna, her main purpose was just to get Mari here. Anna was an angel from God. Anna was never meant to be on this earth. My faith, I think since her passing away, had become stronger because I knew I needed to be stronger for my other 3 kids. It left a hole in me, but I couldn't just say, okay, well, I'm just gonna curl up into a ball and die. I think that everything happens when it's supposed to happen to you. I think me going this long without having God as an active presence in my life was just how it was supposed to play out. I wasn't supposed to know what I needed to know back then in order for me to figure it out now. I never liked going to church in the past. Now, I like to go to church on Sunday. I like to, be in his presence when I can feel everybody else that's in his presence as well and know that he's there with me. It's amazing because I've never been here before. And I know that this has nothing to do with me and everything to do with him. My life is good. Everything's good. She's doing very well. She does go to daycare. It's a special daycare for children with special needs and also premature babies. So there are nurses and occupational therapists and physical therapists on staff that take care of her every day, which is really good. However, I would love to have my mother down here to take care of her so that she doesn't have to go to daycare. This last time that we ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, it was because, I don't want to say it's because of daycare, but I mean, if she were home, we probably wouldn't have the issue that we had. And again, she spent 2 weeks in the hospital. And that was just like basically the minor cold that, kids get. But because she's preemie and because she's had so many issues with her lungs, it took off. Like, it got out of control very, very quickly. And that's why we spent 2 weeks in the hospital. It's been rough for my mother not being able to be here. It would be nice if she could be here, living with us, and taking care of her grandkid. And she would live with me and Bo and our kids.